to the Perla family on the line right now. Miss Shy Perry, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
How are you?
I'm fine. How are you doing, Lamont?
I am well. It's always a pleasure to speak to a Perry or the Perrys.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah,
You're
my
very
dad,
welcome.
Bill, is right over here.
HowlNMADD, what's going on, man?
Oh, not too much, man. How you doing this morning?
I'm well, and I'm excited to speak to the Perrys. Listen, everyone, if you haven't noticed, if you're just tuning in, Shy Perry and Bill HowlNMADD Perry have just called in, and we're going to catch up and see what's been going on with them. They stay busy. I consider them the royal family of the blues.
I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I might have to steal that from you.
And you know what? I won't even ask for publishing.
So, I'll go ahead and give you some rights.
Thank you. So what's happening, family? What's going on? And you said you have some big news. Do you want to start there?
Oh, well, it's I wouldn't necessarily say this part is big news, but it's kind of strange news. One of the reasons why we couldn't make the call yesterday is because Bill had to see a lawyer. And, actually, just pick up some things because I think it's kind of been settled now. But come to find out, all of a sudden, a few weeks ago, he gets this letter saying that he needs to stop using his name, MADD, M-A-D-D, because Mothers Against Drunk Driving is using that name. And, so they told him he needs to stop using it. Well, my dad has been using it. Yeah, right. I told you it was pretty wild. He's been using that name since the late 80s, and he can prove it. So that's where, he sent him that information. It really, it's been like crickets, huh? I haven't heard a word.
Yeah, this is an ongoing thing when it comes to music as well as everything else, but to music where when people send these cease and desist letters when they feel that you're outshining whatever their movement is. Is this correct?
Absolutely. I agree with you 100%.
I say
is this the first time?
Or I say either that or, somebody is using, like how they thought your work without permission. So especially if they're using it for something that you don't agree with, you can have a cease and desist. A lot of people use that. I've noticed during the campaigns, they're like, you better not play my song at your event.
Absolutely. Well, see, now that is a different terrain because would you have allowed, and I'm going to use Trump since so many people dislike him, would you have allowed him to use your music?
If I could curse on here, I would, but pretty much it comes down to no. It comes down to heck no.
I hear that. Now, first, I want to go back real quick to some years ago to your documentary. How is that doing? Is it still? What's happening with the documentary?
Well, we're kind of, I guess you would say we're kind of idling along with it right now. But, it's my plan and everything to get it back up here and get it more back in the forefront here in the very near future and stuff. But so far, we steady been getting, great response and everything.
Good. We have to get that back to New York. Now, you guys stay performing, and as well as I know at one time you guys were at what is the Clarkdale big juke joint now? Bill's
Red?
spot. Bill. Say it again.
You talking about Ground Zero?
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Are you guys still the face of it? Because I believe you're the face of Ground Zero.
Yeah, well, today it's another juke joint down there that's called Reds. And that's most of what we work at, these days in Clarksdale.
Right, I've heard a lot about Reds. Now, you said a new juke joint. Is it, correct me if I'm wrong, or or shares the history of this place. Is it a long term juke joint? Has it been around a while, or has the owner have juke joint history?
Well, I'm sure Red do have juke joint history. The place has been there for as long as has been going to Clarksdale. And it was just recently, I don't know what magazine it was, but they said that Red's was the #1 juke joint in the world.
Wow.
It is definitely authentic,
It's definitely authentic, absolutely. And see, plus these days, not only am I am I HowlNMADD, but I am the crown prince of Mississippi juke. And
I won't disagree.
Huh?
I said I will not disagree with that.
Well, thank you. And see, to make it authentic, Red, who owns Red Juke Joint, is the one that crowned me, crown prince of Mississippi Juke. So that makes it totally authentic.
I hear that.
This past weekend, we were on the cruise line American Queen. And one of the things I told them, I said, for the ladies, it doesn't matter where you're from, we're all American queens. And then the next thing you know, my dad's pulling out his crown and said, well, I'm the prince.
The house went up.
So now, oh man, because I wanted to ask you about the authenticity, but when you said the house went up, that led me somewhere else, because as much as we talk about, well, at least on this platform, the history and the heritage of the blues, it still has to be remembered that the musicians are entertainers, and you have to entertain. Is this correct?
Yes, indeed. That's what the game is all. No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
That's what the game's all about. Yes, yeah, so you were gonna do it anyway. I was gonna ask you to talk to the people about the importance of connecting with the audience.
Well, see, that's been has always been my #1 priority, because to me, if you don't connect with the audience, well, that don't give them a reason to really want to come see you a second time.
that is the truth.
And as far as entertaining is concerned, well, I was born to entertain. Like I've always said, I'm a Leo. And one thing about Leos is they love attention, they love the spotlight, and that is me 100%. So, I don't leave too many stones unturned when it comes down to entertaining people. Now, the one thing I don't do, I don't go into the gutter, because I don't have to in order to entertain the people. I just like to do crazy, mad things, like put that stupid crown on my head.
Well, I have to say, I'm a Libra, and we're the same way. We love entertainment and all that stuff, too.
I hear that. So now, because you both bring a dynamic to the stage, right? So and Bill just said that you guys don't have to go into the gutter, and I think that's one of the many reasons why I enjoy you guys and your family so much, because this is a family business, right? So is it important not to go into the gutter because you want like the entire playing field of audience from 8 to 80? Does that help with that?
Oh, absolutely. If you're going to be an entertainer, you want to reach as many people as possible.
That's right.
And you don't want to limit yourself. There's a market for everything. And, people do what they do. So I understand. But I just want to be able to reach as many people as possible.
Absolutely. And no matter if they're 8 or 80. Because, see, we talk to young kids, here and there, at schools and stuff like that. And, like I said about as far as going in the gutter and stuff like that, well, I educated myself to the point that, I don't have to do that. I don't have to use gutter language and all that stuff to reach people. And, and as far as when it come down to young kids and stuff, it just, well, what can I say? It makes me feel great, that I can reach them and reach them without, any negative stuff, anything like that. Just this morning, my son had posted up a video of a kid doing an impression of me, and down, at Coahoma Community College.
And not only did he do the impression of him, but he won the category for open mic and doing that kind of stuff.
Wow.
So he won doing the impression of my dad.
Wow.
That young kid, he was really paying attention because he nailed me to the T, okay?
Yeah, he was pretty funny.
Wow. Wow. But as funny as it is, that's very inspiring, because that means you're leaving a different kind of legacy where someone else is saying, I want to be my own version. And that's what it's all about. I want to talk about a song you guys did some time ago that I've played on my show quite a few times. And the reason why I want to discuss this song is because of a recent discussion that was on my Facebook page that is still going on. The song is called "Blues Is Not Exclusive." Could you talk to us about the concept of the song and what inspired it?
Well, we have been fortunate to have traveled quite a few places. We are the only blues band that I know of in America that had the privilege to play blues in a Muslim-controlled country. And we took the blues into China and, of course, Europe and places like that. And basically, even in China, even in Indonesia, you find blues players. And really and truly, that's what was part of what, gave me the idea to write the song. And in the meantime, the song has been, the Delta Blues Museum kids, they did a CD a few years back, and there's a version of the song that's on there. And then this Italian blues singer, what's his name, Shaq?
Lucas Islam. Sorry.
Lucas, I can't pronounce his last name. But at any rate, he did an Italian version of Blues Is Not Exclusive. Because the bottom line to the whole title is just as simple as blues is not exclusive, and I mean, it's not exclusive to me or nobody else.
And when you see just how much they appreciate the blues when you go overseas and how knowledgeable they are, sometimes they would tell me something and make me feel ashamed. I'm like, I should have known that. But I have to go way to France to find out about it. But, they really put it up on the pedestal. And when it comes to Black people, it's just the respect is just so high for your music and your history, and they make you feel good.
Yes. Really.
Well, let me ask you a question, Shah, piggybacking off that statement just now, because it's amazing to me, for that matter, because there's a history that's still Miss Pearlie yelling Bill HowlNMADD in the back. There's a history till this day. A friend of mine who's a rapper and a hip hop producer recently said that he's tired of doing music in and for Americans because outside of America they have more of a love and respect. And this goes all the way back to Josephine Baker. I mean, Charlie Patton mentioned that he was going to Paris. All these people. Is America the issue, Shai, because of everything that is happening and continue to happen? And I would like you to chime in too, Bill, but is America the issue when it comes to having to continue to have this conversation about race and music, where outside of America, people are just so in love with the black experience. But here, it just seems like we still have to fight for a nickel.
Right.
Yeah, that's very true. And I believe race definitely does play a part here. But, I'm not going to give up on my home. I'm not going to give up, on America and their love for it, because you find some people right here that they're really deep and dedicated to the blues. And sometimes they'll try to argue with you about what's real blues or not. And, yeah, and I think everything, moves forward, even music. But no, so I'm not going to give up on the people here. But, yeah, race definitely plays an issue here. Race plays an issue overseas. And when it comes to people like Josephine Baker, that was such a different time that she was living in. I probably would have done the same thing. But since, things have progressed somewhat, I would love to live overseas, but I'm an American, so I'll definitely be right here. I'm not sure what my dad would think. I think that he'll be here too, because he loves Mississippi.
Oh yes, this is
Oh yes.
Yes, our ancestry here goes all the way back to slavery. And in fact, I'm the fourth generation in my family born after slavery.
Wow.
The old cemetery here, can trace my family back, all the way into slavery. My great, I think that would be 5 great grandmas died in 1858. So she was born a slave and she died a slave. And so I have a special connection to Mississippi. And what can I say? Anything other than that, I just, what can I say? I do my own thing and keep right on loving.
And let me just say this really quick. We live right outside of Oxford, home of Ole Miss and Oxford, Mississippi. And, of course, back in the day, you have James Meredith and you have all kinds of history. They burned down the square. So it was extremely racist around here. And my dad came up in a time where, they were still picking cotton and have to take it to the gin up there. And of course, like how they're talking about all these Confederate statues, well, there's a Confederate statue of Robert E. Lee right there on the square. And it's been there since, I don't know, before my dad was born.
Oh, in the 1920s.
Yeah.
1924.
And there's a story that my dad would tell about this ice cream parlor where he went in with his money, to spend to get some ice cream. He's a little kid. And he sat down. And the next thing you know, the guy, I guess, who owned it or whoever was serving the ice cream screamed at him, the words, like I said, I'm going to watch my mouth. But pretty much he told him to get up and get out. He could still pay for his ice cream, but, you better get out the store. And now, when you look on the square, there's a blues marker dedicated to my dad. So things does change. Yeah. And
wow, that's deep. Now, wait, I want to ask Shy first. I want to ask Bill. And Shy, because your generation is how I say, is a time where we supposedly have more freedoms and it's more diverse and things and more opportunities. Is not supposedly, we do have more opportunities, right? How does it feel to you having that type of history in your hometown?
Well, you have to learn from the past in order to do better, I think. And it's not easy, being a black woman in the South. There's been a lot of times where I felt excluded and or not acknowledged some kind of way. But you have to. It's how they say when it comes to black people, you have to do twice, triple as hard. So you have to really, no matter what, no matter if it's entertainment or whatever field that you're getting into, you're going to have to work really, really hard and keep putting yourself out there and let people know that, hey, not only can I compete, but I can,
can win.
I can win, and I can do
That's
better.
Right.
And so, it's like a lot of stuff I've had to build myself. And with the help of, family and having that kind of support has been immeasurable. So, you need people, but at the same time, it's hard trying to succeed in practically, you might as well say every field, but when it comes to entertainment, it's really hard. But that doesn't deter me. If anything, it makes me realize how hard I have to work, because it makes you stronger, because this is something that I dream about. This is something that I really want. And I'm the kind of person that's like, well, hey, if you get up in my face, you might get a lion or something. Like, I'm nice and sweet and all that, but hey, don't push me too hard, because I'll fight back. And
the other side comes out.
It's tricky. I'm sorry, what was that?
I said the other side comes out.
Right, the other side comes out, and it makes you work harder, because it's like my skin color is not going to hinder me. My skin color is going to be the very thing that's going to propel me, and that's what I believe.
Absolutely. Do you find yourself, when you write songs, that this heritage passed down to you, this history passed down to you, somehow comes out?
Are you asking me?
I'm asking you. And then I would like, after you answer, I would like Bill to answer that one as well. But I'm asking you.
I have a lot of influence from old school blues and stuff, but like how we were talking before, I'm a child of today, and I have a lot of influences from the 80s and the 90s that are just as important to me, and even my father and the music that he's created, back in the day, it was some of my favorite music, and still is coming up. And so they not only is their music inspiring, their story is inspiring, but I think I take bits and pieces from all around to create, and I try to be as original as possible.
Well, no, you know what? That's the thing right there. This is what I would like to ask Bill, based on your last statement, originality, right?
Yeah.
Bill, based on growing up the way you grew up, and understanding the lineage of your family, and the time we're in now, and the what should be the importance on originality, how do you feel about the young blues musicians or young musicians that are dressing or talking about picking cotton or plantation life, and they're just doing it as a gimmick to sell a music genre? How do you feel about that?
Well, what can you say? I mean, it's like I like to speak the truth myself, and everything that I write about, sing about, and stuff like that, one way or the other, I have experienced it. And I mentioned a little bit ago about which I had said something about real blues.
Mm-hmm.
So I've had people to come up to me, and use that phrase. Well, I come here tonight to hear some real blues. And I'd be like, well, okay, I hear what you just said. And I say, usually what people mean when they say they come here to hear some real blues, they're talking about hearing stuff that, Muddy Waters, Howlin' Wolf, Willie Dixon, and all them people, years ago, songs that they wrote. Mm-hmm. And I say, I tell them real quick, if that's what you come here tonight thinking that you're going to hear, well, you're going to be very disappointed. Because, I like to tell people, and I tell people with a lot of pride, we are not regurgitators. We are creators. That's right. Absolutely. And so during our whole show and stuff, we may throw in one or two cover songs, but basically we stick with original stuff. And I try to write it, the stuff that I write originally. Well, like I said earlier, I put it in terms of what's happening around me right now and stuff. And I figure that, any other young blues player, rather than trying to relate to something that they don't have a clue about. Just, learn how to be yourself.
Right.
Blues come from within and everything. And I don't have too much respect for anybody that don't know how to think and don't know how to create for themselves. And because I'm quick to tell people, the majority of these people out here today that's calling themselves blues players or singers, if it wasn't for the people yesterday writing and creating, they wouldn't have a career today.
Right.
Yeah.
And you have to think, and I feel like you have to think, if you're not creating now, where are we going to be, in the future with music?
Right. What kind of legacy will we leave for the generation behind us and everything?
Because one thing's for sure, the people back then weren't looking at their parents and grandparents trying to act like them. They were doing their own thing, and they were making their own brand new sound.
That's right.
And that, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Bill, but Sean just hit a very, very important point. It's almost unsaid rule that children do everything to well, not all, but to have their own style. From, like, we can talk about hip hop. The parents of the hip hop generation didn't particularly like hip hop, and that was a kind of a kid's thing. So, with that being said, do you think that it's, how can I put this? Enthusiasts and purists of the blues, are they stifling to up and coming musicians who like the blues but want to express it in their way?
For me, that's stifling. You're trying to say they shouldn't move forward with music. You're trying to say they should stay still, and not only stay still, but go back 50, 75 years. And, like how we were saying before, it's very important to know your history and to understand how music has evolved. But what's wrong with creating something now? And what's wrong with, moving ahead?
Right, moving forward.
So now, I personally don't. No, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, yeah, I definitely think it's stifling because you shouldn't argue with a person about creativity.
Yeah, now just flow.
No, that is the truth. Have you guys seen the documentary "Standing in the Shadows of Motown"?
No, I haven't seen it yet.
Okay, it's about the studio musicians of Motown. Now, the reason why I bring this up, I brought it up a couple of times with a couple of people, because we somehow got into a similar conversation. And the musicians, the black musicians, even white ones actually, were saying that after they finished doing their job, which was playing for the bands at Motown, they would go to the local clubs to hear some black music. And in some cases, they refer to it as the blues. Now, the reason why I bring this up is because what I'm asking is, well, first, just to be clear, what I received from that statement was when they said blues in regards to black music, they didn't necessarily mean 1920 blues or even what's considered Chicago blues. They just meant black music, just, black style music. So now, do you think that people misconstrue blues as just being a Robert Johnson style of music rather than being a mixture of African American expressions like rhythm and blues, soul? All these things could be considered blues.
Yeah. Well, see, R&B, is definitely is the firstborn of the blues and stuff.
Hmm.
And speaking of being a studio musician, well, see, that's one of the things that I have going for me that most of the players out here don't have going for 'em. I was a studio musician for
Hmm.
several years. I'm one of the last musicians that worked at the old Chess Studios before it closed up. So
Hmm.
therefore, I've been telling people for years, I had to learn more about the guitar than just 1-4-5. I
Hmm.
had to know types of chords because of the different people that was coming in to record, the different styles that they did and stuff like that. I can truthfully say I played almost every form of music that you can think of, from jazz, R&B, blues, gospel. I had the privilege to be there. In fact, I was in the professional gospel world for about 10 years and stuff.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah, I played it was a group back in the 60s when the civil rights marching and stuff was at the front of the news. I was
Hmm.
with a group out of Chicago called the Cliffs of Cabaret, and we
Hmm.
had a record out called Keep On Marching and Don't Turn Around. And that was a pretty big record for us. That was back in 66, I think it was 67, somewhere back in the 60s. And so again, I had to learn more than just, 1-4-5, and I still use, most of the chords that I use today playing music, you won't find too many more players out here, because they never, advanced themselves beyond 1-4-5. You know what I'm saying?
Right. What, man, there's so many questions that come out of that statement, and I guess that's why. Wow. First, okay, I want to talk about that album of Keep On Marching, because it actually confirms Shai's statement in regards, and yours for that matter, in regards to speaking and keeping music current into what's happening today. Because you
Right,
actually addressed a topic that was that was very prevalent in America at that time, right?
right, right, absolutely.
So with keeping music current and moving towards the future and everything we've just discussed, do you guys consciously cover topics that you feel should be addressed, and if you do, why?
Well, the more political stuff and stuff like that, I kind of stay away from it as far as, when I'm writing and everything. I
Hmm.
really like to write about good feelings, good things that's happening and stuff like that. Push aside the bad. Although I'm howling mad, but I still like to push aside the bad and just come from a positive, point of view about, different things. Like, for instance, my latest song that I wrote is called I'm Thankful for the Blues. And, well, it's a few things that inspired me, to write that song. And because, well, really and truly, I can't imagine what my life would be like today without the blues.
Mm.
And I have to say, I'm coming out with another album soon, and the way I look at my music, I try my best to stay in the 1-4-5, the foundation of the blues, but a lot of it, I would say that it's the child of the blues, the grandchild, and all of it. A lot of it is R&B and soulful type music, and because of that, I don't want to be held back and people consider me, not bluesy enough or not this because I'm not sounding like somebody that could have been my grandmother, Yeah,
No, I understand
and
what
it's
you're
like,
saying.
right, yeah, and it's like I don't want to be put into a pigeonhole in a box either, but because music, it evolves, and to okay, the way I look at it is like we all have our issues. Back then, they had some extremely crazy. I can't imagine the kind of issues, and especially Black women had to go through, and they sung about it. They They lived it, and but problems are problems, and we have our issues today, and it's just as valid to be able to write and sing about what's going on today. But I'm more like my dad. I like to stay on the feel-good, positive side of writing, and heartbreak and all that kind of stuff. It still has a nice feel-good feeling to it, because to get political, especially in this day and age, is so divisive. And
right. Or it is a slippery slope.
Opinion, yeah, it's like, well, I guess we all have opinions.
See, one of the things that, I really appreciate also, like, for instance, this past weekend, as Shai was saying earlier, we was on the Mississippi River Blues Cruise, right? And I would say the average age of the passengers that was on board that ship was probably in the late 70s, 80s, and up from there. It was quite an older crowd of people. And I mean, we played 2 shows, and it was a crowd of people that you would have thought that wouldn't have had no lack of love or anything like that for what we call blues music. But I mean, from the way they enjoyed what we did, it make it all worthwhile, because, you're reaching, like we said earlier, whether they're 8 years old or 80 years old, you want to reach them, and whether they're white or black, you want to reach them and make them feel good.
Yeah, you want to leave them with something, a feel-good feeling.
That's right. And I'm pretty sure, that's exactly what we did. Now, we'll be taking off again early Friday morning, heading up into Kansas City. And we'll be stopping back through the National Blues Museum there in St. Louis Sunday on the way back home to do a show. And this will be my second time there at the museum. But again, it's, I'm looking forward to it, because I always look forward to seeing that look of happiness on people's face and enjoyment, when we are playing. It makes it all worthwhile for me. It makes me really think that, I'm doing something the right way, and that's what it's all about and everything. No matter if my name is HowlNMADD, but I like to see people glad.
I hear that. Well, we spoke about you being a studio musician, right? And our first couple of interviews, we spoke about Shai and her brother picking up that musicianship from you. How important? Because better yet, you said how important. Do you think? I don't want to say decline of the music business, but it's trying and challenging in the music business, because so many or a good portion of musicians of today don't have that professional musicianship. I don't even just mean the presentation, but the technical skill and knowledge of music. Do you think that's why it's trying now, because they don't have that? Because I don't. Are there a lot of studio musicians in this day and age? I know there's still a few, and a lot of them are traveling with different concerts and things of that nature. But for the most part, a good portion of up and coming musicians don't seem to have that kind of musicianship. Do you think that could be an issue in the business of music? Do you think that is part of the help of the decline of the music industry in terms of money and everything?
Well, I would guess I would have to say yeah on that point, and the reason why is because, working in the studio, myself, I got a chance to work with people that, like for instance, Fontella Bass, she was famous for a big record back in the 60s called Rescue Me. And we did 2 singles on her. And even the great Willie Dixon, I did a couple of session dates with him. The great Sonny Thompson, I don't know if that name rings a bell, but he was a big jazz. It do?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, he was a jazz star back in the 40s, on up into the 50s, I think. And plus, he was one of the vice presidents of King Records years ago. And we was on I don't remember exactly who we was recording that day, but at the very end of the song, I was to hit one chord on my guitar to end the song, right? Well, instead of hitting the chord one time, I hit it 3 times. And of course, that threw a monkey wrench in the game. And so I'm saying that to say this. Sonny Thompson told me, so, well, son, you was only supposed to hit it once. And then he had me to hit it once and we recorded. Then we played both the chords back. Well, of course, the way it was supposed to be done, sounded better. So with that said, he told me, I always remember this 4-letter word. And I said, what's that? He said, KISS. I say, kiss? He said, no, keep it simple, stupid.
So maybe there was more venturing back then or something.
Yes. And see, knowing that most people are not that musically educated, and then, you want to keep your music to whereas the average person can relate to it. Now, knowing a bunch of chords and stuff like that, I know that I could get off into writing stuff that would throw a curve to the average person because it would be really too much. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And so I just try to, I've never forgot, those words, and that was over 50 years ago when Sonny said that to me. And it still is clear in my head today as it was the day he said it. Keep it simple, stupid. And because the simpler you keep it, the more people you're going to reach and everything.
I hear that. Now, how about you, Shai, in regards to your musicianship and the basic fundamentals? You did mention you try to keep it to the 1-4-5 based on being true to the blues chords. But how do you approach your writing and compositions?
Sometimes I just get a melody in my head, and I'm not thinking, oh, this is going to be a blues song or this kind of song. It's the melody that comes to my mind, and, now with technology, I can just record whatever melody, that I have in mind right on my phone. And if you heard some of those recordings, you would think that I'm some kind of whacked out woman or something. What is all of this? But it makes sense once you hear it, in the song. And that's something that I've always done, whether it was a tape in one of those handheld recorders. And when it comes to lyrics, whatever melody I'm thinking of, sometimes the words will come right to mind. And if it sounds good and if I can arrange a song around maybe even just a couple of words, that's how it can begin. It's not something that I try to force. It's something that I feel like it has to come to me. It has to be natural. I don't want to force it because to me it's not going to sound right. Everything that I just, if, say for instance, if I'm having a problem with a particular line, I'll let it go for a second and put my mind on something else and then go back to it. Next thing I know, I'll usually have the line right there. I could write songs in 10 minutes or maybe it might take a little longer, up to a week. And I just have to make sure that, or longer, I just have to make sure that it's something that I can feel. And if it doesn't sound right to me, or you know, anything like that, I won't work with it. But yeah, so I'm not sure exactly how people approach when they create, but I feel like it's something that ideas have to come to me, because if you just try to concentrate on what should I do this, how should I, it's not going to come to you. You know, you're forcing
Right.
it. You know, you have to let the universe speak.
Right.
Let it flow.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Now, I want to ask you, Bill, how do you feel seeing Kingfish and his success of today?
Well, I'm the one that gave him the name, the Kingfish, right?
Yeah, yes,
You know
I
that?
do, sir. Yes, I do.
Well, see, they always told me that, whatever it is that you are doing, if you reach one person out of 100,000, you have done your job. And I mean, to set back, knowing the first day that I met Chris Stone, and, and seeing, him today, well, it let me know that, I did something right. He listened to what I was, what I had to say, and not only that, he practiced, because I told him, I said, well, son, practice make perfect. And I got several calls from his mom back in the day telling me, Mr. Perry, you need to talk to your boy. He don't want to do his homework. All he want to do is play that guitar. Well, see, see today, it shows and stuff. So it makes me feel good. And every time I see the young fella, I stick my chest out.
I hear that, because he's doing really good. Him, Marquise, and John Tavius, they're doing really good. And now, let me ask you about that, because those three young men are what people refer to as the future of the blues. I don't particularly understand that term, the future of something, when you're currently doing it on a high level. What do you guys think about that term?
That's a really good point, and I have to say I never thought about it that way. But yeah, if you're right here in the present, because you never know what the future can hold, and it can be somebody coming up right now that will blow everybody away that nobody knows about at this moment. But next year will be a different story.
Right.
And maybe they'll be what, future?
It will be the future at that moment and stuff.
Yeah, they'll be the future at that moment.
But see, when I think about young guys like Kingfish and stuff, well, see, he's just started his journey. He really haven't gotten off into writing yet. So, the best of his talent is yet to come. Although, from as great as he are doing, he is already doing what he's doing.
Now that's a great example of how that can be the future of the blues, because he has a bright future ahead of him, and maybe people think of it like that, as long as you stay focused and on the straight and narrow, I mean, it's no telling what you can accomplish.
That's right. Say, as the late Jackie Gleason used to say, the world can become your oyster.
That's right. That's right. That makes sense. Now, that makes sense. Now, what would you like to say to the good folk in regards to encouragement in whatever it is? It doesn't have to be just music. It could just be living through this extremely chaotic time in America, well, the world for that matter.
Well, see, I always say this right here. If it's something that you really want to do, then put yourself into it 100% plus. And always remember that a quitter ain't going to never win, and a winner ain't going to never quit. And the only way you can become a winner is by just being determined. As old folks used to say, be as determined as a hound dog. You just don't give up. And see, and that's me. I mean, just you never give up on what you believe in, and no matter what is thrown at you, be able to shake it off and keep right on going. Because again, a winner ain't gonna never quit, and a quitter ain't gonna never win. And then the next most important thing is that whatever it is, again, whether you're a musician, a doctor, whatever the case may be, lawyer, you name it, you want to be the best that you can be. If you do if anything less than the best that you can be, and then what you're doing, you're cheating yourself and you're cheating the public. That's my opinion.
I hear that. How about you, Sister Shy?
I'm sorry, I walked out of the room for a second. Can you repeat the question?
What encouragement would you like to give the people in regards to just life?
Oh, well, you have to stick with things. And you can't let anybody, especially if you really want to do this, you can't let them talk you out of it. You might be pretty unhappy later on in life and wishing you would have at least tried or taken a risk. And it's scary in anything you do, you take a risk. But, I look at this as this is your chance. This is your life right here. This is your chance right now. Take a risk. Why not? And, you have to stick with it, and you have to believe in yourself and know you can do it. It might sound silly to some people, but some of the silliest things have been hits,
That's the truth.
Yeah, and, you...
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, you'll come across all kinds of obstacles, and that's just life. No matter what you do, that's life anyway. You can't let that bring you down or let that take you off course.
No, and you never take, somebody once upon a time said, like a sharpshooter, right? When he aims at the bullseye, the one thing he'll never do is take his eye off that bullseye. Because if he do it, pull the trigger, he's going to miss. So always keep your eye on the prize. Keep your eye on the center of that bullseye. Aim for it, and don't let nothing distract you from hitting that bullseye dead center. And you can only do that by having faith and confidence in yourself, because most people is going to try to discourage you and stuff. And, but see, again, you can't let that happen. You have to keep focused. Keep your eye on that bullseye, and no matter what, you understand, never take your eye off of it, because if you do, you'll miss the mark every time.
Yeah, and you have to be patient with yourself.
Patience, right. Patience is one of the main principles. And I heard this story one time about a guy that decided to dig for gold, right? And he dug, and he finally struck a rich vein. And he had hit the mother lode, and he had borrowed a lot of money and stuff, and to get his equipment and stuff like that. And but then before, when he was just getting ready to make a profit, the gold ran out. So he kept digging for about another 2 or 3 weeks, got very impatient, okay, and gave up. And he went and sold the rights to the mine to a junk man for $200, right? Well, the junk man had enough sense to go and hire some geologists, experts. And come to find out where the guy, he lost patience and gave up. Well, the gold vein started back up 3 feet from where he stopped digging. So because of a lack of patience, you understand, the junk man, for a $200 investment, ended up making millions in profit, because he had enough sense to seek expert advice beyond what he knew.
And that's another thing, with patience, make sure you educate yourself about what you're doing.
That's the truth.
Yes, and just because you don't know something, don't make you an idiot or nothing like that. Because, see, a smart person will always bridge the gap on something that they don't know. A smart person will always bridge the gap by seeking the information from people that do know.
And if you got to ask for help, hey, go ahead and do it.
Ain't nothing wrong with it. Okay.
I hear that. Well, I really, yet again, am honored by the presence of the Perrys on my show.
Oh, thank you, Lamont.
And we are honored to do this interview with you again.
Yes.
You're so welcome.
This was really fun.
Yes.
I'm happy you enjoyed it. And I'll have the archive up soon. I will send it to you and everything. We have about 60 seconds left. I just wanted to take this time to thank you and let all the people know that, you know, if you don't know, you better find out about the Perrys. But I'm sure they do know.
It's one thing, if you don't know, now you know, you know.
Yeah. There you go. That comes from my hometown, Brooklyn. And I'm going to reach out to you guys because I would like to see how I can help get you guys and that and your documentary out here. Yes.
We'll do our best to get it out there. They sold out a copy. They sold out of all of the copies, so we're going to have to get some more, made, and as well as HowlNMADD's Best of the Best CD. And like I said, I'm going to record another CD this year.
Yeah, actually, we're going to get started on that new CD in December.
In December? So you have an idea when your album be ready, or do you want to? Matter of fact, we'll talk about this off the air. Because I would like to try to help. I would like to help get you guys out here for Jack Dapper Blues Heritage event or something.
Oh, that is fantastic! Yeah, absolutely. Put the word in now. Maybe it'll be more than enough time.
Yes,
exactly.
One thing is for sure. Wherever I land, I'm always going to bring. Well, let me just say it like this. Because I am HowlNMADD.
I hear that.
We're going to bring the funk, and I don't mean, I mean musically.
Oh well, no. Look, if you think about Parliament, if you listen to any of their behind the music interviews, they brought the funk in the music and in the studio, literally. Because one of the singers said that she came in there and they didn't shower for weeks. And George Clinton said, because if we're going to be funky on the music, we got to be funky in real life.
That's hilarious.
Thank you. Yes.
Yeah, I actually got a chance to work a show with Parliament Funkadelics. That was back in 1969. It was an experience I'll never forget. Okay.
I can imagine. Ooh. I wouldn't. Okay, we gotta get that story real quick before we go, please.
Well, see, Purvis Spann, the blues man out of Chicago, had a club out on the South Side called the Burning Spear, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so one night, it was a weekend night. I think it was a Saturday night. And that was back when I was playing with the late Little Milton Campbell. And that was, of course, before, Parliament Funkadelics' big hits and everything. And but they did open the show. And, I mean, even then, they was different. Like you said, they was funky. But, the thing of it is, I mean, the crowd wasn't ready for them. Okay, I mean, them people sat there and looked at them as if they was some kind of bad disease or something.
But were they the future? I guess.
Yeah, they were the future because just 3 or 4 years later, when they landed that mothership, out there in what was that, the Forum in L.A.
That's right.
It changed things forever. And it just go to show you. Just think. If they would have let that crowd respond to them that night, some kind of way, put a negative thought to their head about quitting, stopping. You know what I'm saying? And then see, if that would have been the case, we never would know about Parliament Funkadelic.
That's true.
You know what I'm saying? Yes, indeed.
I definitely do.
But see, they kept right on going. That's just like myself. No matter what is what is what. Like I was saying earlier about the sharpshooter, my eye is always on that bullseye, and no matter what, I ain't supposed to get off.
I hear that, and that's a mantra to live by. All right. Well, thank you, and I try to live by that too. We off the air. We're wrapping up Blues Folk. This is Jack Dot Blues Heritage Radio. It's the Perry family, Shaw Perry, Bill, HowlNMADD Perry. Yeah, and we just bluesing and talking. Thank you too so much.
Thank you, Lamont.
We appreciate this.
Absolutely, and we had a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Good. I'm looking forward to speaking to you guys soon off the air, and let's try not to take so long in between checking on each other.
Yeah.
That's definite. That's a definite we want.
All right. Talk soon, guys.
Okay. You have a great day.
You too.
We'll talk to you later. All right now. Bye-bye.
Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring. Ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise high as the listening skies. Let it resound loud as the rolling sea. Sing us.
And now, insurance-minded speeches from Geico.
It's a common expression, don't look a gift horse in the mouth. However, what if the horse's mouth is filled with useful insurance tools? This is the exact case with the Geico app. Yes, the app is free and therefore a gift horse. However, look inside the app and behold, emergency roadside assistance, digital ID cards, bill pay. Get the Geico app. Look it in the mouth. Get amazing services. Thank you.